I was in the car with my cousin and she was showing me these messages with this girl, and basically she's really bad at responding, and she'd stopped responding, and this girl had been like, "Oh, hello, are you dead? Like, what's going on?" And my cousin said to me, like, "What's wrong with her? Like, doesn't she understand, like, maybe I might be going through something?" And I went like, "What? Why would she ever think that?" Nobody stops getting a message from somebody else and goes, "Oh, maybe the other person has something going on in their life." Because me personally, I have a friend who's really terrible at responding. I know he's an amazing friend of mine, really terrible at responding. And when he doesn't, even though I know he's such a good friend, the first thing that comes to my mind is, oh, what if he just doesn't like me anymore? And that's when I realized, like, everybody's insecure. Everybody thinks something's wrong with themselves. And this presented itself to me in these two guys. There's this really likable guy, and there's this other guy. He has his mates. I wouldn't say he's like super likable, but there's a clear difference. Like, I love one of these guys, and the other guy, he's just like kind of there. Like, I have a good chat with him every now and then. He's a good person, but not as close with him. And the first guy, whenever I see him, this is the guy who, like, I'm not as close to. He kind of just says like, "Oh, yo, what's up, man?" Or just something brief. He never really smiles. He never says, "Oh, how are you, mate?" Occasionally. He never really stays there for a bit of a longer conversation. He never like lets you know it was good to see you, and he kind of just moves on with his things. But this other guy, every time you see him, he's like, "Oh, how you doing, mate?" He makes some jokes. He's super like charismatic. He's really fun to be around. And I wanted to make a video on how you could be more like him and what I've observed. You know, this one time, these guys were literally both in the same room, and I walked in, and one of them was like, "Yo, what's up? How you doing, Finn?" Like, the other guy was just like, "Oh, hey, Finn." And surely you notice that difference. "Yo, what's up? Hey, Finn." It's the smile, bro. That's the smallest little thing that you can change that makes such a big difference. Like, when I saw that guy smiling, I walked in there and I was smiling. I was happy to see him because in my mind, I'd seen him smiling, and that means like, oh, he likes me, that he's happy to see me. But the other guy, like, I don't even know if he likes me just because of the fact, like, I don't get any of these signs. I don't see him smiling at me. I don't know that he like wants me to be around in his company. And the other like really small thing that I've noticed with a lot of people who, even though like I'm friends with them, I speak to them a lot, have good conversations, they tick these boxes, they're smiling, they're funny, they're good to be around. Some people, they just don't say hi and bye. It's just like, I think it's just such a small thing. Like, you're with your mates and they just walk off. Like, fair enough, it's not that deep, like every now and then. But I think it's just like appropriate to say, "Oh, see you, mate," or "Hey, bro, how you doing?" Like, you don't even have to yap on about like how you, like, if somebody says, "Oh, how you going?" you go like, "Yeah, good." Like, what's been going on with your cricket? Like, if you know they play cricket or something. But I wanted to tell you about this guy. So, a really close friend of mine, he's like really well regarded. Everybody thinks he's like a really amazing person. Every single person that I'm talked to, he knows like everybody pretty much. He's a super charismatic guy. He's super popular. And I've noticed a few things about him that might actually have led to that. There might actually be a really good reason why he's such a likable, well-regarded person. You know, the first time I met this guy, or maybe the second time, I'd been chatting to him for a few hours. We'd like had a good time, and I was going home, and I probably would have just like never really seen him again unless I bumped into him in like a week or so. But I remember it so clearly because what he did changed my viewpoint on him forever. Because I didn't know like, oh, this guy really enjoyed my company. All I knew is like we had a great chat. Like, I kind of knew we enjoyed each other's company. But then he sent me this message. "Hey, it was really nice seeing you tonight." And I just knew like, oh, this guy clearly likes me. He likes my company. And it gave me the confidence to plan a meet up with him. And he ended up becoming one of my really good friends who I've hung out with unlimited times. Feel really close to that guy. And the thing that I realized is that maybe it was just that one message that led us to be friends. Imagine if he didn't send that message. I wouldn't have known like, oh, this guy really enjoys my company. And then I might have never messaged him planning to meet up. And then I might have never met all the people he introduced me to. I might have never had those experiences that I loved having. My life genuinely would be that different. The other thing I noticed he did, so we were at the beach one time with my friend and him, and the whole day, like, we were only there like 3 hours or something, but the whole time, from the second I saw him, every like 5 seconds he'd be cracking a joke. And it was hilarious, mate. Like, the fact is that some of those jokes just did not land. But I like this guy and I enjoyed his company. So even when they didn't land and I just heard him like laughing them off, like, ah, shit, that was a shit joke, I'd still find that funny that he just made like a really bad joke. And I just realized, like in that moment, this guy makes so many joke attempts that it's impossible to not find it funny. And I also realized, like, back in the day, the first time I met him, he wasn't that funny. And I realized, like, this guy just kept going, he just kept trying to make a lot of jokes. And eventually, like, he met so many people, he's like made a lot of jokes around tons of different people, and eventually he like narrowed down his sense of humor so that what comes out of his mouth when he's just like throwing out rapid fire jokes, it's actually funny as shit, because he spent all that time like experimenting with what people find funny. He had all those like moments where he made a terrible joke and everybody looked at him weird, and eventually he just became this really funny guy. And the last thing I noticed he did, just all the time, he's just complimenting you. And I fucking love being around that. Whenever I'm around somebody and they're like, oh, I like your bracelet, I like your watch, I like your chain, oh, you're looking big, bro. Like, it just makes you feel so much better. There's this story, I didn't even plan to say this, but you know, I was playing tennis and one of these coaches, like, I had a tank top on, I was playing tennis and one of these coaches came up to me, he's like, bro, you're looking fucking massive. Like, I rate it, you're the biggest guy here. And that was an absolute ego boost for me, but but I really enjoyed this. Like, this is my favorite coach now. Like, and it definitely has something to do with the fact that he complimented me on something I cared about so much. But also just because he came up and he's bringing like this good energy. Like, when you're around him, you know, like, he's a fun person to be around and you're gonna feel better because he actually compliments you. There's some dickheads who just like, oh, I don't want to compliment, or like, that's weird, bro. Like, why would being nice be weird? All my favorite people give out a lot of compliments. All the people I enjoy spending time around, we do that. We also take the piss out of each other and have a good laugh. Well, not piss out of each other, piss with each other. We take the piss with each other and laugh at each other a bit. But I love people. Bro, at the end of this, bro, I've got no more script. I don't know what to say. I'm losing flow. But I reckon that's all I have. Hopefully you start sending messages saying you really liked spending time with people. You make more jokes. You give more compliments. I really hope this video helped you. Have a great day, bro.